Okay, what we're viewing here today is my second Weed Whacker bike that I made. This one's a little more refined. It actually looks a little better than the first one, which I really didn't know if it was going to work very well. But anyways, I'm just going to go over how you would mount the engine, some details, so if you decide you want to build one, kind of fun. And this is a 26-inch mountain bike. This mountain bike has upper gear controls off of the handlebar, so they're not throttle style, so this allows room for the throttle that you'll be putting on later. So mountain bikes work great for this because they typically have that feature, okay, of the speed controls not in the throttle positions. So anyways, going over the mounting of this, basically what I did here is I took they started off with a piece of 2" by 3/16 angle right here. There's the angle there, and I drilled 3 holes. I'm going to go over here and show you that. One of them was there for the reflector before, and these 2 I drilled through here to match, and I put bolts through there, so now we have the angle on here. Then I took a utility hinge, about a 3" or so, maybe 4, and mounted it on the end of the angle. So then on this piece there's a 1/4" piece of steel. It's kind of triangular shaped here, and I'll try to shoot that there for you. You can see that there's not much light underneath. So anyways, that's just a simple carbon steel 1/4" piece. And then I took a piece of the similar angle here, and it's about, I don't know, 10 inches long maybe. And I cut that, and I used that to mount this vertical plate, which is going to be the motor mount right here. And I cut a hole through that so the blades in the flywheel would go through it, so it's a little bit of work machining it. But anyways, if you got the wherewithal to do that, I will shoot over here now and I'll show you the 5 bolts that hold it in place. Oh, this is a nice shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that plate's on this side, and it elevates up here. Okay, so that's mounted securely. Then from there were 4 holes in the cast iron of the Weed Whacker 1032 screw threads here. So I put threaded stock in here. I used a coupling nut. There's 4 exactly like this, and I used some washers here to space it out for like a guard. And this guard is a piece of plywood with a 2" pipe, PVC pipe coupling in there with a fillet of epoxy. And I had to cut that hole in there, as you might be able to see from here, and so that you can see. Then from here, this is the adapter. This has 2 screws that hold it onto the face of the flywheel, which I pulled the retaining pins out for the recoil, drilled a .203 hole in there, inch, and then I tapped 1/4 threads in there on each side. Then I had this made by a friend of mine, which is just a T. It's like a shaft with a T flange on it. 2 holes there, and then if you can look in here, the spindle comes through it, and I put a nut that was threaded on the end of the spindle of the engine, and I just torqued that down in there. So there's 2 socket head cap screws, 1/4, bolt it in, lock it in to the face of the flywheel, and then this also holds it in place on there too and keeps it tight on the taper of the shaft. And this is a bike peg. It's got the knurl on there, as you'll see on any one of the ones on the internet. That's how it's done. So then I have a screw eye here, and that is, keep that in mind in a moment, this screw eye here is to support the engine when you want to just pedal a bike. You can just ride it as a simple bicycle. And when we get down here, I'll show you this. This is the spring, the tension spring that attaches to that screw eye I mentioned before, which is again right here. Okay, that's the screw eye, and this would just tension up. I stretch it in place and hook it on there. That creates the tire, the pressure and force is acting, so the friction can occur through the shaft of the engine onto the top of the tire and propel the bicycle forward. Over here I've got, I had to machine this out of here with a slot to allow the brake cable to go through here. As you can see there's the brake cable here, and then it goes through this hole, and I allowed a slot here to slide the cable through. I'll show you that from here, maybe you can see that. Yeah, a little bit. And let's see if I've got everything here. That turned out the gas tank. Yep, when you position it, you want to make sure the gas tank filler is vertical up as possible to get the maximum fuel in the tank. As a little tip, I removed some of the plastic off of the engine. I kind of trick painted a little bit, made it look a little nicer. Put the reflector on the back here for safety. Makes it look kind of custom. And then the last thing I'm going to show you here is the throttle compensator, I think, and that's right here. I hope the shadow doesn't prevent you from understanding this, but basically if you look here, you'll see the stroke of the throttle. It's about 1.5 to 2 inches. Over here is the stroke, as you'll see that little coupling nut there, it's only about 1.25 inches. Okay, so if I took that cable and connected it to the throttle on the engine, and I had a operator on the bike that was pretty strong, he could pull it through and break that off of the carburetor throttle, or make the cable slip and then have to keep readjusting it. So I put this throttle compensator on here, and basically it's just a it's a spring combination to take up the slack with the lower spring. It's the lower spring to look at now, and then the top spring is just to keep the throttle pulled back, so there's enough adequate force to return it to the idle position, and that's it. So that's a throttle compensator. I designed it and built it. This is a coupling nut. You can get those from Grainger, and it's got the thread through it, so I had to drill cross holes in there so I could put the cable through it, and then I tightened screws down which are already in the coupling nut. I did that on both sides here. They're very simple to do that if you kind of handy. And let's go over it one more time. Did I miss anything? Here's the throttle up here. It's a nice $22 one off the internet, and I took the kill switch off of the Weed Whacker and I mounted it here with some epoxy putty here that you can get from Grainger, and it's right there by your thumbs. You can see how nice this turned out. Your hands here, here's the kill switch. It's just turned out nice. So there's the throttle action. This is another shot of the engine in a vertical mount on this one, which works actually better than my previous horizontal mount. Oops, sorry. And there's the mounting system here to get another shot on that, so in case you have a question. And there's the 3 mounting holes, the mounting screws I should say, and that's all enough to do it. And this is Weed Whacker bike number 2, highly refined from my first one, and I hope you really enjoy this. Tried to make this look as classy as I could, as almost factory. Some people say, where'd you get a kit? Well, because it kind of turned out pretty nice. So anyways, have fun. Hope you build one, and if you do, have a lot of safe motoring. Thank you, and goodbye.